No, this is what Kanavi does. He's a trendsetter. He's the guy that blazes the trail, you know? And I want to see some of that flavor moving into this one because they need to shake things up. I think you have to cheese the win. Like, honestly, like, what if they do that? Think about it in StarCraft terms, right?
Sure.
Sometimes you just get that cannon rush game. They need the cannon rush game. They need to 6-pull. 6-pull right now.
It would definitely do wonders for the game time.
Yes, and that's exactly what they need. We'll see what can happen here as we are into the draft for game number 1 of this best of 5. This one is, as I mentioned earlier, for all of the marbles. If you're just tuning in, if HLE lose this 0-3, they are out of the tournament. If they win 3-0, they are first in their group and straight through to playoffs. Remember, there is 2 teams from the winning group that goes straight through to the playoffs, and there is 1 team that goes straight through to the playoffs on the other side if you are the losing group. And then in that losing group, one of the teams is eliminated. That is either going to be HLE or KT of Group Elder or Bro of Group Baron. So if you're a Bro fan, which I know most people are, that means that you're hoping HLE wins this series today. Okay, that's it's another thing to bear in mind. It's another stake that we are adding to the dinner table.
Wait, no, if you're a Bro fan, you want them to lose so that your group wins.
Oh, right, yes, no, sorry, the other way around.
Yes,
but it is a bit confusing.
It is a lot of
You need Gen.G to win, so that's relatively easy.
But, I mean, Bro have won 2 games this entire tournament, but they might, through the power of T1 and Gen.G dominating in their group, be able to make it through. As Malphite will be the final ban here, and we will see if Azir will be matched here. Varus was banned already.
Yeah, I think the Azir ban makes some sense. We'll see whether Chovy's just like, no, I don't really feel like playing Azir, so like let's get it out of the way.
I mean, he might also have a counter pick prepared here for it, but I think that they're using this time to discuss what their response to first picks will be, and they definitely will ban the Azir. Oh, instead.
Rumble is more important.
Okay. So, I mean, this is the power of this new Varus that's cropped up. That is just really a must ban right now. If you are on second pick, that means that they have to make a different choice here. And so there's a lot of counter picks to Azir, but none of them have been doing incredibly well here at the LCK. The Sylas, the Akali are 2 picks that are very meta right now. But he may just simply say, I'm going to play Ryze, and I don't care. Or I'm going to play Taliyah. We're going to play Taliyah Pantheon. Nico going to get locked in here first. And that is a strong bottom lane pick here for Duro.
They might even just lock away the bottom lane. They could theoretically do that. Yunara is up and available. Obviously, there is still a Vi. Kanavi, pretty good Vi player. So instead, going to pick that one away. I actually really like this. Does mean that now you can lock away your bottom lane if you would like. Still hide your solo lanes and allow Chovy and Keen to get a little bit of extra information. I don't know whether Kanavi is really what we're going to see, as Jarvan is up and available.
That would have been a cannon rush.
Yeah, that would have definitely been a cannon rush. As Corki also, I mean, that kind of fits. This is a pretty decent core. We've seen this many times. I think you've spoken about it many times, the good old Corki Azir.
I just think that the Corki loves to play with a strong laning partner, and it's going to be a little bit tougher to get the advantages that you're looking for into the early pick Nico here. But it is a strong power pick and also denies Corki Nico from Ruler and Duro. Corki has, in my mind, been Ruler's best champion since returning to Korea. It's just incredible on that pick. And has an incredible win rate right now, so it's a strong denial pick. Kanavi, really a lot of considerations here. I mean, he went through almost every meta jungler and then even considered the Zed. Now here you can go for the Taliyah pick, or you can lock away your bottom lane and make sure that you have a lot of power there. Chovy's champion pool is wide enough to where I think that going for the bottom lane pick here, if they have one really strong in mind, they want to dominate this lane with like the Yunara, is definitely a plan you can go for. I think almost every other team, in fact, I will go as far as to say I think any other team in the LCK locks Taliyah there, but Gen.G says no.
I'm so glad that they do as well. Maybe that's why they're undefeated, because they decide not to trip over the rocks that they've put out themselves. Taliyah just hasn't necessarily hit the same way so far on this patch. But Yunara and Nico, pretty powerful there towards the bottom side. You can now do things like this. Ban away the Nami, which has been able to shore up the bottom lane for the Corki. Make sure that you can win, you can get through that. We saw this, you know, over the last few days, actually. Bottom lane or bust has been the aim of the game here. And if you are not able to stand toe-to-toe, then you just kind of get rolled over.
Yeah, it's been the name of the game for this meta, for sure. Wonder what they'll ban here now. they love an Alistar to be locked in, so they certainly won't be taking that one away. Maybe a Bard. Yeah, that's the safest range support that they could have tried to pair with here. Delight's showcased he has the talent to play the pick.
Yep.
And maybe you ban Silas here if you're Hanwha Life Esports now. That would allow you to then play the Alistar. You know, and I don't know if you really want to play Alistar into Nico Yunara, but at least you have more of a front line with that. If that was your game plan, you won't have to deal with Chovy Silas into the Azir.
Yeah.
It's a really tough call here. Like, you could ban Ryze as well if you're worried about that. The Akali is another one of those classic counter picks to the Azir, but I think Gen.G, looking for counter pick on that one, probably just going to send Keen his pick right here.
Yeah, I'm actually really hoping that they decide to go with a top lane lock-in, even though it's blind, even though it feels a bit weird, right? Because there's already an Azir showing. I think being able to threaten the Silas is so important. And this is just genius, because now you don't know where it's going.
Both at the same time.
Oh, man. Okay, Aurora going to be the pickup here. And I feel like, you know, there were some games at the beginning of the season where we were like, Ryu, like, really? Is this like early Live Sandbox Ryu? Like, is that what's happening here? But he has since really ramped up, and this is just a kind of masterstroke here. The Rakan, actually kind of Silasable as well. We did see, of course, Faker make that one look pretty famous.
I think picking the Pantheon is not allowed. That would be incredibly risky into the Nico lane, and you're just not going to be able to offer a whole lot in lane at all, and then outside of lane, you're very, very risky with what you're trying to set up in this draft. This is not really a dive draft to utilize the Pantheon's ultimate very well. I like the Rakan a lot more. Just kind of get through the lane, survive, sustain as best as you can, and trade back when you can, as the Cassante will be the option here, which still leaves that Aurora top as a pretty strong, viable option, but they don't have a strong front line if that's what they opt for here. It feels like a denial pick here, expecting the Aurora is going to go into the mid lane.
Yep.
And I like how Hanwha Life Esports rounded this draft out. The bottom lane is going to be a little bit tough. Corki can be point-click, ulted obviously by Canyon, so he's not going to be safe.
That's a Viger. I don't know whether that's going to be locked in. However, Duro is hovering it. That's making me a little nervous. The Yone is what I think most people were expecting. And this is kind of brilliant because not only is it a decent lane into the Azir, but you pick it away from Zeka. He cannot play one of his most iconic champions throughout the rest of this best of 5. Remember, guys, HLE need to win one game in under 34 minutes and 43 seconds, right? That's what keeps them alive here in the LCK Cup. They'll make it to the play-ins if that is the case. They could also be first place in the group and get themselves straight into the playoffs.
The ability to lock down this Yunara is somewhat limited in this draft here for Hanwha Life Esports. It's all conditional whether Kanavi can get on top of him. You know, Zeus maybe in some world, or the Emperor's Divide could lock him down. Delight is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting for engage setup here in this draft. And I also think this draft relies on the performances of Zeka and Gumayusi to be top-notch, because they're the scaling damage that has a good frontline in this Cassante in order to win the game. Because Gen.G don't have a strong frontline, but Gen.G, they're the type of team that just wins and decides games through early team fighting, plays a great macro game, and maybe it doesn't matter how tanky any of their champions are. Maybe they could just play some glass cannons here and rip you to shreds early. I think if we put the nameplates on, this draft is terrifying for Gen.G, but Hanwha Life Esports definitely have some tools.
They certainly do. We've seen drafts like this many, many times. It's Delight's Rakan. He is so good at this champion. Zeka has won worlds on the Azir. Let's see whether it's going to work out as we jump onto the Rift straight into a pause. Sepia mode here for game number 1. Friends, put them under the desk for him, honestly. Let's get onto the into the game for game number 1.
미니언들이 생성되었습니다.
All right, there we go. Fan chants underway, and here we are into the game. See whether Chovy's going to be able to find some success here on the Yone into the Azir. Some interesting stuff already. Fleet footwork, but also taking exhaust on the Yone. Make sure that Zeka can't do too much damage.
Really, really interesting. Also can be quite useful if he gets on top of either Guma or Delight in a team fight and exhausts them, makes it much more difficult for them to retreat, even though they have some inherent safety. The Vi ulti is going to be the main way to lock down that Corki in realistic team fights where he'll be trying to Valkyrie away. We'll still, of course, get caught by that, but the exhaust can be quite useful.
Yeah, kind of like it. And
it's new Chovy tech, and every time he shows something like this, it kind of becomes standard afterwards, so...
Yeah, it's a little bit worrying. Everyone's just going to be getting tired in the mid lane. Let's find the knock up there, but so far Zeka has been doing a pretty good job here in this lane. Make sure that Chovy is staying as low as possible. Doran's shield is going to be pretty good, though. Zeka does get this wave shoved in.
A little bit of extra damage back there.
Yep.
Best possible scenario there for Chovy.
Does lose 2 of the minions as they conga line in, though.
Yeah, this is a fun matchup to watch, because Zeka can zone Chovy now with that Sand Soldier, and if Chovy wants to go for a trade, it's very difficult to do so. Has to use his shield like that. That's like the best you can hope for in these early Yone levels.
Yep. And he's got a lot of regen, actually, between second wind, fleet footwork, things like this, and the Doran shield. So may not necessarily have to go back just yet, but is obviously going to be on the back foot for the majority of the early game. He's now just looking for Zeka momentarily.
It is actually just such a joy to watch Chovy in these types of scenarios, because he's walking such a tightrope with this low health pool, but gets a good trade like that, and it's almost like you're watching it and you're like, is that even possible? And doesn't hit the knockup, obviously, but that was a very impressive exchange by him. And like you say, he doesn't have to back here, and will hold his ground firmly and put the wave right where he wants it.
And actually, yeah, Zeka's been through his potion, so he's going to go for the first reset.
It's actually just insane to watch. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in awe.
And also just the runes and the item combo for this Yone just feels a little bit unfair. But we've got a teleport coming in as we are fighting for the crab. Slurkle value is kind of massive here as Ruler stacking up that passive. Kanavi might be in trouble now as we don't have the Tangle Barbs connecting. And Chovy, Unbound the Soul, was checking to see where Zeka was. And he is back underneath his turret. Zeus having a horrible time into Aurora, and that is to be expected.
It's cool to see this tech come out with Chovy's exhaust, because we've seen, obviously, all of our AP mid laners start to go ghost because of the easier return to lane right now with home guards. So he's just going to say, well, I can get a better summoner as well on this 80 melee mid laner as well, and grabbed it on the Yone. And it's the first of such innovations we've seen here at the LCK. Having a great laning phase. We did see that aggressive crab play. That's the kind of thing you expect from Kanavi and HLE early. They were able to secure the scuttle, and only Delight's heal was expended, and they were not winning the lane, so impressive they were able to get that much.
Yeah, having a look towards the bottom side, Wolf, I'm watching a Yunara win lane, and that is always worrisome. Obviously, this is kind of what we expect with the Rakan versus Nico support matchup. This lane should be pretty good for Yunara. That doesn't stop it from being very rough here for HLE, because we know Ruler is pretty good carrying video games.
Yeah, it's not a happy thing to watch if you're a Hanwha fan.
Yeah, even if it is expected, it still doesn't feel great. Stroppy going to find a nice little knock up here. And Zeka just dodging what cues he can.
Yeah, I just want to stay on this matchup.
Yeah, I feel like
I've seen enough
this one
Nico. Yeah, I've seen enough Nico win lane. I'm tired of it.
Well, we might watch Nico and Yunara just kill them. Oh no, the Slurkle comes down. Gumishi's going to survive, but had to use the barrier, and they are looking somewhat worse for wear, you could say.
I mean, before it looked like, okay, well, I guess that's the end of the aggression here. They're out of tools, but now Guma, no barrier, and they might just stay for another wave, another plate. Actually, they, in fact, look like they will. Push that one in.
Yep, they get the crash, and that is going to mean a full minion wave will be missed here by Gumayushi, so falling a little bit further into the hole. 300 gold, already the lead here for Ruler. That should be extending as he goes back, grabs himself a cull, and Navi is considering a dragon, but is spotted immediately. Canyon moving on over. They do know that he's in the area, and Chovy is back in base. Does have his Zerk Greaves.
He's gone all the way around, Canyon has here.
This is a bit sneaky.
They try to see him with Phalites. Obviously, it can't reach.
Oh my goodness. Don't.
He could steal this.
Wait. No, there's no way. He's not going to get away with it. Oh, he didn't. Zeka's the one that locks it down as Canyon not even able to flash away. Emperor's Divide comes out, and First Blood will go over to Zeka on this Azir. And that one guy in chat that predicted First Blood got very close, about 20 seconds. So nicely done there. Said they were from the future. They weren't actually from the future, but they got pretty close.
They were pretty close. It was a really risky play there from Canyon, but the rewards would have been massive had he been able to secure that there with Duro coming over to try to chip and mess up the smite timing. That was really clever. I'll watch it again. So Duro's on the edge here, offers that extra bit of damage, but the smite comes through from Kanavi. Zeka secures it, and Canyon was never going to get out of here without using his flash, and so he doesn't waste his flash anyways, because I think he probably dies either way.
Yeah, I think knew that if he had flashed over the back wall, he would have been okay, but wasn't able to get the bit of extra movement speed. As we're going between the worlds, Kanavi might be in a little bit of trouble. Does have the Crescent Guard as Zeus looking for the angle, goes all out as Canyon just dead again. And Keen just wondering what the heck to do. Maybe waiting for Chovy is going to be the option there as he flashes, does miss the Q, gets exhausted here. There's that tech you were talking about. Does need to rebind, but Chovy is just dead and Keen doesn't have the range. Kanavi, he's now sitting at 2-0-1, asking, okay, who was supposed to be the favorite here?
Yeah, for real. You know, I will pull the curtains back a little bit and tell everyone about our conversation that we had probably, what, 20 minutes ago, where I said, sometimes Canyon disrespects the enemy jungler. I expect that Hanwha Life Esports can have a win con through Kanavi's early game. I literally told you that, and you were like, yeah, but they might just come back and win anyways, which has been the MO for a lot of these early losses in the jungle for Canyon. As it starts off fine here, obviously, looking for Keen's rotation over. It's a fight for the Skull Crab here a second time. But Kanavi can buy so much space here, and this is a great play from Zeus, defends him there. And then Zeus pulls Canyon away. There's just no way for Keen to impact that play. And Chovy doesn't have his ultimate, used it in the mid lane. And exhausts here, but they just do not have the damage.
Yeah, and Kane just a little bit slow on the rotation back as well. Kanavi getting that passive shield at exactly the right time. Oh, actually, no, the shield from Zeus, not passive shield. He's not the one playing Vi. That was Zeus being able to just stand beside him, make sure that he's going to be okay.
Zeus did a lot of work in that fight for an early game Cassante, but
an early game Cassante that's like 35 CS down.
Yeah.
The
I haven't really seen that number yet.
Pretty absurd.
The number is pretty not good for the Cassante at the moment.
But the number that is good is the fact that there is a 600 gold lead here for HLE. They have themselves a killing spree when it comes to the kills so far. And let's see whether they can keep holding Gen.G down. They will need to, even if they do have this composition that scales beautifully towards the late game. As a team, I feel like Gen.G scale better.
Yeah, I mean, a whole item up basically right now, or component up, is this Xin Zhao, which doesn't necessarily mean all too much in terms of jungle, but he can kind of run the rift a little bit here. And the bottom side prio that Ruler and Duro had was kind of fallen by the wayside. Now you can see even a plate was picked up there in return.
Yep. Chovy unbinds the soul, but then Sand Soldiers set up once again. Conquering Sand's pretty powerful, but Chovy clears out the wave and will be a-okay. 600 gold though, the lead for Zeka.
It looked very good for Hanwha in this first game, despite some of the earlier leads that we did see. They were all minuscule, classic Gen.G, laning leads. And now, definitely looking like a much more playable game here.
Yeah.
Especially if, see those grubs get secured here. Looks like they may just give them up, though.
Yeah, Canyon actually just took one of them and then left. Went and grabbed a crab. And is going to now take away the second. Might actually stick around for all of them. I don't see why not.
Yeah, if he can get this one without smiting, which he should be able to, then he should be able to get all three.
Yep. We can see the Kanavi is on his Raptor camp right now. May not necessarily be going over there. As with these two minions trying to hold the wave, keep Gen.G's bottom lane as safe as possible. I mean, this is where the danger lies, right? Because this is the lane that is the most volatile, the most dangerous. And if Gen.G can keep themselves safe, then Ruler will always be a win condition, right? That is just how it's going to go.
Also, they now have 3 grubs for side laning Yone and side laning Aurora, which is really, really good and really powerful. The Aurora obviously already has a lead, so the grub pickup feels fantastic. And had Canyon's first gamble paid off and they had stolen the dragon, he would feel really good about Gen.G's position, even if they were down 0-3. But as it is, it's a fairly even game. Hanwha, though, a lot of small advantages.
Yep.
And that kill for Zeka is one of the big ones, as he will be a threat in sides later on himself, potentially, if given enough time.
Not to mention Xin Zhao. I just feel like this champion in the mid game, if you have a lead, is so incredibly oppressive. And he is well and truly set up. And Kanavi, like, he plays like he is a 2-0-1 Xin Zhao every game, no matter what champion he's on.
Well, it's fun to me, this matchup between Canyon and Kanavi, because Canyon was kind of trying to do some early scrapping and early trickery, and Kanavi's like, I grew up in the LPL.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think this is really where you want to try to fight me, my man. So he will look to get second dragon here, and will be successful. No contest, really.
Oh, another Cloud Soul as well. Feels good. So that is going to give a bunch of extra movement speed. We'll see whether Gen.G can contest for the next one or whether it's Cloud Soul point here for HLE. But Double Dragon, always good news.
We have had so many games where Kanavi runs the early game here in LCK Cup, and they lose anyways. And I think the reason why is because the coordination hasn't been there in team fights for Hanwha Life Esports thus far. We've had a few games where Guma's getting greedy, he gets called out as well, or he has a bad fight, but for the most part, it's just not being able to fight as a 5-man unit. So if you're a Hanwha fan, you're probably also right now fairly aware that this could go south in a moment's notice, but everything in the early game is going pretty well.
Yeah.
2 dragons stacked, significant advantages elsewhere. The lead that Zeka was able to pick up feels great. Kanavi is firing on all cylinders so far, so hoping that, what's changed since their last matchup? Has the coordination improved? They've all spoken about it in interviews when they've had the opportunity to, like, coordination needs to improve. They're still getting used to this new roster. That's what we're going to find out here, because they are set up for success in so many ways.
Yeah, we've certainly got a game on our hands in this one. And right now, HLE are leading the charge. A couple of Drakes and a 1.5k gold lead is nothing to scoff at. But that is going to be Kraken Slayer done here for Ruler. He's about to cash in that cull as well in 18 stacks time. So that means this Yunara is well and truly on her way. Some weirding being utilized here for Keen, and this lane is just not fun here for Zeus at all, as we can see.
The last time we had these two teams play a best of 5 against each other in an LCK Cup, we saw the Vayne come out in the top lane. We did have to do a cosplay.
Yeah.
I wonder how interesting these top lane matchups are going to get here. Is one thing to mention is Zeus has his Rooker, but that's not very useful against a Yone or a Yunara later on, so he's losing the lane here still, has to itemize against this Aurora to survive, but that item feels fairly useless later on. I mean, obviously, when the Aurora comes knocking, it'll still be useful in that case, but the main threats to kill him are AD damage, so...
Yeah. And a bit of mixed damage out of Chovy, I guess, but it's mainly, this is just for lane. And right now, you can see he needs it. Keen is going to use his Leandris pretty effectively. I actually do like that. Into tanks, this item feels pretty powerful, as Zeka is just doing his very best to make Chovy's life difficult. But quest completed. The Berserkers being upgraded feels pretty nice for Yone. Grabbing a little bit of extra life steal.
Kanavi coming back here for another red buff pass. And with the prio that Zeka has right now, I mean, Chovy's whole game plan was kind of messed up by that scrap in the top river that didn't go well. Doesn't have his core item just yet. And so they're just taking away the jungle. But this is par for the course for Kanavi, right? He's been doing this all season long.
No.
And yeah, that's
we panned away instead of doing a zoom in, because we were all baffled.
Well, that's like when a
Mr. Cannon
fan favorite character dies, you you show the birds.
Yeah. Oh, that was a bit of a rough one. Chovy's also, down almost 20 CS himself. Zeka actually farming this one very effectively, and with that advantage that he picked up, being able to put on a lot of pressure and translate what was an early lead into, a tangible advantage in the lane. With the Blade of the Ruin King completed, Chovy's probably going to feel a bunch better, but Gen.G are going to have to do one of their patented win a team fight and then just kind of have an advantage for the rest of the game maneuvers. That's, I think, what's going to have to happen here if they want to get themselves out of the woods.
Well, now Blade of the Ruin King is finally finished here, and so perhaps that fight will happen on Herald. The Dragon is spawning here in about 70 seconds. And that's when Hanwha Life Esports will be grouping on the bottom side. But for now, Gen.G have full prio. Keen does have teleport, so can TP back, perhaps with upgraded boots here, into this team fight.
Yeah, you can see Ruler actually zoned out of this for the moment. Gumayushi with inside track moving into the river, as Shelly does lose interest in Gen.G, but HLE are there to catch her back up again.
The time it took for Keen to teleport back in lost some of their prio. They were going to deny some farming on the top side, but they're going to need more than that if they're going to take this away. As I say it, though, a bit of a relinquish of control with that wave going through. Zeka decides he needs to get this. Loses a lot of the minions anyways. Like, he only gets 3, and they get the Herald potentially as a result.
Well, now Delight holding onto his buttons, really wants to use that to try and go for an engage, but Chovy snaps back towards this Rift Herald, down to about 4,000. As we're going between the worlds, Keen is still very dangerous, and Zay's just getting poked down. Kanavi steals away the Rift Herald, but it's a 4-man Pop Blossom from Duro. He finds the angle, and Keen locks down Delight. Now Zay is going down solo. Emperor's Divide finds Ruler, but he flashes on top of Gumayushi. A gap closing, a zero ultimate. Are you insane, Ruler? And it's a double kill for Canyon. There's that team fight, and it's an ace for Duro.
The call to go in to look for the secure was a risky one. Kanavi is rewarded, but the rest of the team fight is a wash, and that'll also be the Dragon to go over here to Gen.G, and I think you are not typing worth in all chat if you were Kanavi after this one, as that was a bit of an overextension. He has his ultimate as well, and they gave up so much control for Zeka to get 3 minions. And that's why Gen.G have full prio here and why they have to play this fight the way they do anyways. Now he TPs in, but he's so late. And Zeus, we mentioned it before, he doesn't have any armor. And look at how much damage he takes from Ruler here on the initial salvo. Like, he is just not tanky to light sacrifice himself to go in. And then as you mentioned, the Emperor's Divide just gives Ruler the opportunity to flash on and finish Gumayushi off. And the coordination was not great on this one, but the setup, I think, was the bigger issue. And Gen.G had all of the control.
Yeah, let's have a look at this from Chovy's perspective, as was trying to block the eye for a moment here, but actually manages to get the outplay onto Kanavi as well. Flashes to win, becomes lightning, snaps back. Oh God, we didn't even notice that because there was a whole team fight happening to the south, and then all of a sudden Chovy just fully outplays Kanavi.
Yeah, just gets a ton of value out of the exhaust as well in that exchange. Really cool.
Yeah.
To see how that played out.
I'm actually like very impressed by our replay team for making sure that they were watching that instead of watching the fun team fight that was happening elsewhere. That 4-man Pop Blossom was pretty good from Duro, you have to say. But the thing is, like, sometimes I hate like being right, because we were talking about like well, Gen.G will have to do that team fight thing that they do and then just win the game. Well, that's kind of what they just did. And if it's, you know.
Yeah, no, it's...
Yeah.
I mean, when I see Zeus with Kanik Rookern and plated steel caps, I just have to think, well, at least he knows that there are two things that he's really weak into, and he's trying to make sure he has the answer for both. He doesn't really have the answer for this Yone, though. And that's a turret down just naturally. Doesn't want to side into the Aurora, I promise you that, but doesn't want to side into the Yone either. This Cassante pick just isn't working out, and the lead for Ruler is 2,000. Wow. As Chovy,
Kanavi looking for an angle there, does stop the ultimate from getting Chovy out of there, and that means that he's just dead. Kanavi puts the spear in, and so no side laning here for Chovy for the next little while.
On the cross map.
Oh. Well, let's see whether Zeka can survive, as he does avoid the Vault Breaker, but that means that Canyon doesn't touch him. And so they will just kill this turret. Pop Blossom picks up Zeus as he makes his way in, and now it's 3 versus 1 for him. In the meantime, Yunara is taking a turret in the mid lane, and Zeus is desperately running away. And I would say that is a pretty good cross map.
Yes. They get 2 turrets. They get the top turret, then they get the kill onto Yone, but at the cost of their mid lane on the bottom side, as Kanavi's going to pick up plate gold. He's the only lead left in this game, and he's like, well, I guess I'll get some money. They're going to try to get this mid turret as well. Ruler does show up here, and unfortunately a turret shot is taken. I don't think they get this as much as they want to.
They will eventually, just not now.
Ruler did have to expend his ult, so that's a small victory there as well. Kanavi, he does get the turret, and I think he should get out as well.
Yeah, it's just a little bit of damage being looked for here by Chovy before he snaps on back. As Gumayushi down to about 50% here, fighting against Ruler, but Duro going to turn up, and Delight looking to try and get some vision down. I mean, HLE not out of it yet, right? It's only 1 dragon picked up here for Gen.G. They did the work, they got the double dragon, and that feels very, very good.
You know, sometimes when you think about these types of compositions, you're like, all right, how do you kill the Corki, right? Like, they've got the exhaust on the Yone, they have Yone, they have Vi, they have Aurora, it's going to slow them down. They have all these threats, but sometimes you don't stop to think about the enemy 80 carry being the one who's going to kill you, because the lead that we have and how much crit damage you do on this patch, how much burst that Ruler is going to have when he presses his R button with the Fiend Hunter bolts, like, he can just kill Guma in like 2 seconds if he gets anywhere near him. So that's even now, because he's so fed, an additional threat that Guma's going to have to deal with in this game.
And he's about 2,000 gold ahead almost, and he's very close to an Infinity Edge. So it is a huge item spike on top of the fact that he's already just very accelerated in this game, cashing in the cull, things like that. So only about 1,400 before that Infinity Edge will be done.
And the Herald that was stolen.
Hey, there we go.
We'll finally get something done here. We'll take out the bottom turret. The mid turret is, like you mentioned, so low that they think that they should be able to get that one anyways, which I think is a reasonable call, but they haven't gotten it just yet.
Yep. At least Zeka has somewhere to put his Sun Disc. and is going to be putting that one towards that bottom side. Ruler getting very, very close, I could imagine, to picking up his Infinity Edge.
Yeah, I think he just got the pickaxe, so it probably needs a few more waves, but the Dragon is the next target, as Kanavi should be fine here, but I don't think they're getting any control over this Dragon. I think they're simply going to have to give it up, and it's two Cloud Dragons here too. Gen.G's composition feels pretty valuable.
A lot of extra movement speed is Keen, trying to be frustrating.
Chovy's soloing this.
Yeah, you were talking about this before, actually, the fact that Gen.G don't necessarily have a reliable front line. It has to be a fair bit of smoke and mirrors and poke to make this happen. As Flash out there from Duro has to get out of the way of Zeus, but there's the Drake just being taken. HLE just couldn't get into the brush. And face-checking this comp is so hard, right? Because Keen, he can do so much burst to whoever's going to be face-checking that it's just not worth the risk. Gen.G will be able to lock down their second Drake of the game.
Yeah, this is a pretty scary composition with extra movement speed, as I don't think I really need to explain that to anyone.
Yeah.
But the Yunara problem just gets bigger and bigger. Delight forced away here, forced to ult.
Yeah, there is the grand entrance, taking a fair bit of damage from Ruler. Just saying, hey, Delight, remember me?
Ruler has, when he gets his third item, they can just do Baron really whenever they want if Honda Life Esports aren't there to respond. So fighting for this vision constantly is going to be very important for HLE. As Delight
that was annoying.
Just getting super annoyed with everything right now.
Yeah, Chovy once again pushing out this bottom lane. We'll be able to head over towards this crab, and we blinked, and then Chovy was ahead in farm, so yes, he's sorted that one out. Ruler, Infinity Edge now done. And these are item spikes that HLE does not want to fight on, okay? They need to bide their time. They need an evolution for this Muramana out of Gumayusi, and probably an extra item or two. He does have himself a serrated Dirk, so still going for that collector on item number 3. And Zeka probably wanting a second item himself. Probably just going to be like a cheeky Rylai's or something like that to come in next.
Yeah, definitely. The arm guard feels great for the team fight they're going to need to win somehow miraculously to get back into this game. At those spikes, the itemization here for Zeus leaves a lot to be desired in this game. He is just not that tanky, unfortunately. Yeah. Keen's level 16, by the way, as is noted. He's about a level and a half up, but 2 levels up technically.
Oh, that's ridiculous. As Emperor's Divide going to be used here as Chovy going to have to bounce his way out. Does get a big old shield as Delight catches up to him. Kanavi's running real fast. Oh, wind barely becomes lightning as now, yes. Chovy actually unbinds the soul, looks for the knock up onto Zeka, doesn't find it. But like you were saying, yes, they can start Baron.
Like, that's you going to send 3 people to kill Chovy when this Yunara with IE's on the other side? I don't think so.
Well, Zeus is going to have to bring Canyon out of the pit, and he does so, and now the rest of Gen.G needs to zone Gumayusi. However, Canyon just gets back, smites the Baron, and that is going to be secured. Now Delight looking for an angle to get himself in, as Ruler bounces his way out. Pop Blossom connects onto Gumayusi, and he has to get himself out of there. Zeka gets into the fight as Ruler flashes out of the way, dashes to avoid getting knocked up by Delight, and down will go the Rakan. Canyon's getting chased down by Zeus and Gumayusi, but he just vault breaks his way out of there. How do they kill 1 in a 4
Gen.G
versus 5, take the Baron? In the meantime, Chovy's having a rest.
Gen.G just running circles around Hanwha right now. Hanwha will get the Constellation mid-turret here, but this is a disaster. As Chovy, by the way, look at where everyone else is on the side of Gen.G when this happens. He wants this to happen. He sets this up. Like, everyone is ready to take the Baron, and if he does not get interrupted, like if his ult doesn't get blocked there, he gets out for free, basically. Has to flash, but they're chasing him, and the call is made on the other side to take Baron. Chovy also, by the way, almost gets a kill back because it's insane. Not really almost, but it was...
Yeah, he almost stayed alive for even longer.
Yes, that's really what I'm getting at. I played really well in that follow-up exchange. And then the Baron gets taken here, and there's just no one to close the gap. Like, they cannot get to Ruler, who's frontlining, by the way.
And so there was the dash, and then he gets knocked back by the Crescent Guard, then flashes, and then gets another dash to deal with Delight.
The front
Delight
line
is dead anyway.
For Ruler is Ruler's damage.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're coming close to me, I will just kill you, so...
And also, Aurora is really underestimated when it comes to her ability to control battlefields with the Between Worlds. You just kind of put it down, and it's just makes it really difficult to close distance onto Ruler without taking bajillions of damage, not to mention Pop Blossom being there as well. Like, the peeling tools here for Gen.G are there, even if they are a little bit more flimsy. And now, with this Baron, Chovy looking to dive underneath this inner turret. Plates are just falling left and right. And yeah, Ruler now with the Last Whisper as well as his other 3 items. This is, you know, HLE have got another few opportunities. I don't think this game is going to be one of them, even though it is only a 5,000 gold lead. I think when the money is so firmly on Ruler and on to Keen here on the Aurora, just feel like it is getting very, very close. The drain circling has begun.
Yeah, it really has. They've opened up the mid lane completely. They'll get their 3rd Cloud Dragon of the game to put them on soul point.
This is a pretty good one here for Zeus. Gets himself an inner turret. It's going to pull back the gold a little. That is soul point, and they run really fast, Wolf.
I just don't know if Zeus, like, what is Zeus' function with this Cassante in this game? Like, there's a stronger front line really in Kanavi here, because he just takes so much damage from everything. He's just not that tanky. He's so behind that he's only level 16 to Keen's 18.
Doesn't it feel terrible as well? Zeka built a Rylai's, and they're going to have 4 Cloud Drakes.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, but now I slow them. And then the Clouds are like, no, you do not, actually.
I want them to run less fast.
Well, at least then maybe it's just slow resistance, so you don't mitigate any of the extra movement speed. Really, it's just kind of doomed.
Yeah, he really wants to keep Chovy away from him in any way he can. He's asking for Delight's help right now to get Chovy out of this side lane, so he will oblige for now and back away. But that's an IE.
Edge for him too. I think that Ruler probably has Lord Doms on next back if he would like it. As Kanavi is going to get slowed down. Delight is in position to try and engage, but is spotted immediately by Canyon. Has to battle dance over to Kanavi.
I'm not really sure what Hanwha Esports is setting up for in this position. We're very far away from an objective fight, and that could have just lost them the game if they scrapped there and Chovy rotates down because he has Prow in top lane. It's a longer fight. Like, the game just ends if they get routed for any reason. I think they just need to farm it out here and try to fight for vision on Baron when they can. Like, they have some right now. There isn't really a good choice to make in these kind of lull states we end up in, especially in this meta with no Otacon. You just kind of have to farm and try not to die.
And Ruler hits level 16 and already has Lord Doms completed, so that is 4 items. Having a look on the other side, in comparison, Gumushi has a pickaxe.
Okay, this is tricky. Delight's going to TP for the flank here. Unfortunately, there's nothing to fight for. Gen.G, you're not going to take any risks.
Yeah. And Chovy just unbinds the soul. He can wander around wherever he wants and then snap back if he feels like it. You can see now Keen was wrapping around for a potential flank angle. 3 minutes on this Dragon, but it's a minute until the Baron is up and available again. And so expect to see Gen.G head towards these side lanes, try and pressure out HLE, make another one of those mistakes, because we saw how quickly they took the Baron if given the opportunity. And I don't see why they don't just go for that one more time. Just requires more resources from HLE than they have at this point in time. As Kanavi goes in, there's still 2.5 minutes, guys, on this Dragon, so we don't need to fight right now, but sometimes you just want a river ram, and that's what we're doing right here.
Keen's happy.
Has the inside track.
Keen's happy to just keep burning away at those health bars with his Leandries as well if they just play it slow. And just like that, a huge wave pushes through the mid lane, and they're like, all right, well, you guys thought you were going to fight for vision there for some reason 2 minutes before. I guess we'll just take all of your topside jungle and keep side lane on the top side as well.
Yep, and just don't allow them to get back into the jungle over here. 15 seconds on the Baron. Chovy going to push up this top wave. And the rest of HLE are freshly off a reset.
Like, look at the Baron spawn here, and HLE have to run over because they have no vision whatsoever. Run over here and check this out, and that comes with consequences.
Yep, Circle connects on to Kanavi. Not quite able to get themselves towards the pit. Might be able to get a control ward over, though. We'll just have to see. As Keen with a big old shield and a very fancy hat. 203 on this Aurora, man. The Keen test has gotten more difficult.
Chovy can basically solo Baron if given enough time. They do have to respond. Now they're going to split it. I love this setup here for Gen.G. So much zoning, and while they threaten the Baron at the same time.
Oh, Duro looking for that angle between worlds goes Keen. As Zeus looking to just walk up, and they have to because this Baron's going down lower and lower. There's the quickness, but Delight is just stopped in his tracks, just shot down here by Ruler as the Crescent Guard does nothing. Chovy finds the ulti, and the flash in once again to take down Gumayusi. No one is dead on the side of Gen.G, and it is just Zeka trying to flap away with broken wings from this destruction of a team fight out of Gen.G. Yet another one around the Baron that they win. They are looking not to take down the Purple Worm, though. They're thinking the enemy Nexus might be a better prize.
Yeah, they're going to grab this turret and then can regroup and take the Baron. A bunch of minions lost here in one of these solo lanes, right? Zeka's like, get the top minions first so I kill this fast enough. Maybe I get the mid minions. He's the only one alive. Had to use his teleport to retreat as Aurora can't CC him. But look at the setup. Like, it's checkmate. The damage on the Baron here with Ruler and Chovy is so fast that they can send the rest of the team to block the entry. Guma takes half his health bar to one weird. Duro.
He caught Delight, so the engage just could never work.
And I just don't know, even if it does, if any of the carries can close the gap, but they just played it so perfectly. I mean, I'm sorry for Glazen, but I'm watching some clinical League of Legends here out of Gen.G from a deficit, and it's just a beautiful thing, the way that they could utilize this Fed Yone and Fed Yunara to split the fight like that, to do Baron quickly. It's just really, really awesome to watch. And now they're going to do the same thing here on this Dragon.
Yep, Quadra, Cloud Souls. Kanavi goes in. Okay, looking for a little bit of an angle. There's a Pop Blossom, picks up 3 of them. The Yunara is down. Let's see whether Gen.G will have the damage. As Gumayusi will be taken out. It's a double kill for the Auroras. Chovy will be wiped out, but Keen's at full health. Can he get the rest of them? It looks like he might be. As there's the Quadra, and it's only Zeus left standing. And I don't think he's making it out. Pentakill for Keen here, and Gen.G will march victoriously to the enemy base.
Yeah, they have such incredible team fighting here. There's too many threats. Keen does insane work in that fight despite Ruler getting caught. His first death, by the way, of the game. And they will walk straight up to the Nexus and take it out. And
every year, man, the King test just gets harder.
It does.
2026 is ludicrous.
Now, I guess with Guma, he died really quickly in that fight, so he's going to respawn. So I guess they cannot actually end right now. So maybe Gen.G won't win in the required game time that Hanwha needs to win it. But look at how quickly Ruler dies here. But the Emperor's Divide is used in order to get that extra burst, and it doesn't really help set up the fight here for Hanwha Life. And so now the rest of the team is just kind of fodder for this backline Aurora. And Canyon survives for so long, goes back into the pit here and secures the Dragon.
It's like every spell he throws out, though, and hits is just trillions of damage. It is revolting. Yeah, I mean, they threw the kitchen sink at him because he's so much of the team's DPS.
And then Kanavi's like, okay, wait, can I do something? He avoids that weirding, which was massive. It gave him the opportunity to potentially look for the smite. Unable to get it. Keen calls for the Penta.
And he got nervous, that's why he missed at least one spell. He missed the smell of picking up a pentakill.
He also, like...
How many pentas has King got? Probably not many.
He has not one health missing in that exchange. He was not touched in the fight.
So the thing that HLE has to do, you know, is they have to pick their battles, all right? And the battles that they picked were with Ruler and with Chovy. And after that, they had nothing else. There was nothing left in the tank. And so Keen was absolutely fine. There's the snapback between worlds once again for Mr. Pentakill Man here, as they will be able to take down this inhibitor turret. Inhibitor already dead towards that bottom side as Keen just goes into stealth, bounces out of the way of Zeus' Q3, and the last remaining inhibitor turret is surely about to fall. The inhibitor just going to be a formality at this stage.
And for Gen.G, they're fighting for first place in their group, and this is a very solid start to this best of 5.
They don't have to do all that much better than they've already done in order to get first place, because T1 dropped a few games, Gen.G has not. And
all they need to do is win.
Yeah. It's very, very likely that they will be first place, but this is looking like a statement already. As Ruler,
he wants to get involved with an annoying, pesky wall there.
Yeah, exactly. It's so frustrating. Well, Keen has lost more health than he did in the last team fight. As Pop lost him, he flashes for it, finds 3, and there is a gorgeous snare as well. Keen's still doing so much damage, but now everyone is involved. They tried to kill Ruler. It didn't work this time around. That's another clean ace, and Gen.G will mop up these turrets and send us to a game number 2. And my goodness, it was a decent early start there for HLE, and then it just wasn't good at all.
But that's the thing, Atlas, we keep seeing the same story.
Because this is the same roster from last year. They went on the most ludicrous winning streak that we've ever seen. We know what this team's MO is. We've seen it so many times, and it feels sometimes like it's annoying, but it's also fascinating and beautiful to watch how they can do it so consistently. As Keen, speaking of consistency, does a gigantic amount of damage in that game, picks up a pentakill. I think he's forerunner probably for the POM.
계속 긁으면 될 듯.
이번에 뭐 할 생각하면 좋은데. 야 이런 거 원콤 내도 돼. 락한 같은 거.
오케이.
야 하자.
갈라간.
야 뒤.
아지를 잡았다.
프로기 잡았어.
끝났다.
나이스. 바텀. 가비 초반에.
바비.
네 큐가 안 닿네.